Welcome to What CEOs Talk About. Do you wonder what CEOs talk about behind closed doors? How they bring their vision to reality? How do they overcome and succeed through adversity? We share that and so much more with each episode. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, folks. My name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategy into frontline operations. Today, I am recording from my daughter's patio. I am in renovations. So if you see the background that you see, and for the people who are listening, I am sitting outside. Tim, on the other hand, is as I'm wearing a sweater, is wearing a jacket, and he's. Where are you, Tim? Are you at home?
I'm at home in Tsawwassen, BC today, just south of Vancouver.
Fabulous. So today's guest on our show is Tim Dumas. Did I pronounce that properly?
Yes, it's French. Tim Dumas.
Tim Dumas. He is the President of Servus Leadership, and that company's 8 years in the making. And you've been in the personal coaching and speaking circuit for quite some time, and we'll go through that. And one of the cool things about Tim, he is the father of 6 kids and looks very young, looks very dapper. I don't know how many hours of sleep you get, man, but hey, 6 kids, that's amazing. Congratulations on that. So
thanks for reminding me, Martin. The kids are at school now, so I actually had forgotten about that. I thought I only had 4 until you reminded me. It actually is giving me more gray hairs just as we speak.
So like every episode of this podcast, I let the guest pick the title of the show. And today, Tim and I, there's so many, I think there's going to have to be at least 2 or 3 episodes with Tim, but what is today's title of the show, Tim?
Today's title of the show is, what is the purpose of your business? You know, you might be surprised that I'll bet you it's the same as almost every other business in the world.
Cliffhanger. We keep it for the end. All right. We won't tell anybody. It's a secret. That's why we have a podcast. Anyways, Tim, thank you. Welcome to the show. Appreciate you making the time to come and chit chat with us. So tell us a little bit about Tim. Let's go way back when Timmy was a kid. How did it all start? Where are you from? How did it grow? How did you become an entrepreneur and a CEO of businesses? All that good stuff. So Mike is yours.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I'll start in the family business, really. I spent most of my time growing up split between the greater Vancouver area and the greater Victoria area. So I moved when I was 15 to greater Vancouver. And my family has always been entrepreneurial. They're 4th generation in the pub and now liquor store business. And so we had been entrepreneurial all my life. At the age of 15, I was in the back, either stocking shelves or counting, creating the bank deposit for my father's businesses and then my uncle's businesses. So from a very young age, I was doing that. That in a roundabout way ended up to where I am today in coaching and speaking, because 5 years ago in our family business, Jack's Beer, Wine and Spirits, we were at a crossroads, and we were at a point where we either needed to step off and jump off that cliff, or really just coast in the business. And anytime you're coasting, you're dying, right?
Yeah.
And so we hired an executive coach. And I don't know about you, but until that time in my life and in my business career, a lot of people told me, these coaches, they're hokey people. They don't really, you know more than they just ask you silly questions, right? And so I really wasn't sold on it. Not that I wasn't into it, but I wasn't completely sold.
Yeah.
And it changed our business. It changed our culture to the point where 2 years later, I'm asking my coach, I said, Coach, how do we bring this to our whole team? And we have 125 or so employees. So how do we bring it to all of them? And he said, Tim, you're already doing it, but you got to get better. Seriously, 2 months later, I'm on a flight to Orlando, Florida to spend the week with John Maxwell to get certified as a coach. And the rest is history.
Wow. You see, that amazes me, right? A lot of people, because I'm with you, right? So I come in as a fractional COO and people say, well, okay, I need some help. And I think that the first step is recognizing that you need help. That's number one, right? And it's so weird that people don't understand that, like in any sport, a good coach is important. And because it's a fresh set of eyes on what you're doing, it's a proving performance. Imagine a a professional team without a coach. Nobody can ever imagine. You look at American football, right? So American football has got what, 15 coaches. I don't know it very well, but it's got, a defensive coach, offensive coach, lineman coach. You got everything lined up, right? I come from a world of rugby where you have 2 or 3 coaches per team. So no, I'm with you. So talk about Jax a little bit, because I'm a firm believer. My wife, when you guys first came online, I guess in the new branded image, my wife Tracy jumped on the occasion, and there's a special thing that you do that just, there's a whole bunch of things that you do with the customer experience at Jax is beyond. People are friendly, kind, they treat you like a king. King or queen. So tell us a little bit, because I think I know where this is going. So,
well, it all starts in the hiring process, and then into the onboarding process when we actually identify what business are we in. And when people come into Jax, they do a one-day session, kind of like a classroom session with me. And I always ask that question: what business are we in? And have you asked in your business, your people, what business are you in? And normally, you know what they say? In our business at Jax, they say, well, we're in the wine and beer retail business. Some people might say, oh, we're even in hospitality. But really, to get a better answer, then I'll ask them, who are our competitors? And in our business, they'll say, okay, other liquor stores.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people will even go further and they'll say, well, anybody that sells wine, so restaurants, etc., right? But when we really get down to it, our competitor is anybody in the world that provides a service, that provides an experience, because we are creatures of experience and we are social creatures looking for great human interaction. And when I ask you, Martin, where do you get a great experience in business? You don't compare us at Jack's to other liquor stores. You compare us to Disney World. You compare us to anyone in the world, Southwest Airlines, anyone that gives a great experience. So once we set the framework of what our goals are, and we're far from being Disney World yet, but when we say, we will have achieved what we need to achieve when our experience is compared to Disney World, when it's compared to some of the greatest service organizations in the world, because what we're selling is an experience, not only experience in the store, but people don't just buy a bottle of wine. They can do that anywhere. People don't just buy a bottle of wine or a beer to just drink it. They buy how that is going to enhance their experience, that evening with their spouse, that watching the game with their buddies. Everything speaks and everything adds to that experience. So I'd ask the people who are listening too, in your business, what are you doing to add to the experience of the people that buy from you? In the construction business, I'm not buying 2x4s. I'm not buying that, even that house that you sell me or you build for me. I'm buying what that experience the house gives to my family, those backyard barbecues, how that is going to fit with my family. That's actually what I'm buying. And once we realize that in business is when we take it to the next level.
That is so true. And people purchase in a future state. And a lot of people don't know this. When I buy a pair of hiking boots, I'm proposing myself in the future and saying, well, what are these boots going to bring me? Am I going to be a better hiker? Will I have better traction when I'm climbing this? Will my knees and hip hurt less? Will my feet stay dry? So you buy in the future state of where you want to be. Too many people stick on the widget and go, well, my widget is cheaper than their widget. And from experience, I know that regardless of price point, it is kind of like Disneyland for me, because you walk in, there's so many new things to look at. And if you enjoy cocktails like I do, not in regards to binge drinking, but really appreciate the quality of the liquor that you put so that you do have a good experience, that's super cool, man. I'm with you that you sell the experience, and the result of that experience is you gain a sell or a purchase from that, right? So tell us about your transition. You spoke a little bit about it, and I'd like to. I kind of always ask, what was the trigger point when you went, okay, so I'm at Jackson doing my thing. You had your coach. yes, that's a time frame, but can we break that down to a specific time or event that you said, you know what, this is what I want to do, and this is why I want to do it?
Well, it all goes back to coaching is a big part of who I am and what I do. You're a rugby guy. I'm a football guy. So I was playing college football at Mercyhurst College in Erie, Pennsylvania. And it's my first year, and I'm walking off the field. And I'm walking off the field with Joe Kimball, our head coach, one of the greatest leaders I had ever met. And as I'm walking off the field that summer, I see his two little kids run up to him. They were about 6 and 8 years old at the time, gives them a big hug, spends a bit of time with them, and then he continues to walk off the field with them. And he looks at me and he says, you know what, Timmy? I love what I do. I absolutely love football, and I love the influence that I am able to have on you young men. But you know what's very difficult is during the season, especially during training camp now, I never see my 6 and 8-year-old. I'm gone before they wake up, and I don't come home till after they go to bed. You know, in college football in the US, these coaches are working from, 7 a.m., if not earlier, till often 10, 11 p.m. at night, 4 or 5 days a week. And the other days they're still working eight hours, and they're working 7 days a week. And what I always thought was, if I didn't make it to the big time, if I didn't make it to the pros, or once I was done with that, I was going to be a coach. And when I walked off the field that day, my dream of coaching died, because I wasn't willing to give up my family to be a coach. And for about for about 15 years, almost 20 years even, that dream was dead of coaching, until we hired that business coach. And it was like eureka. I knew my calling in life was that. I just didn't know what that meant. It wasn't actually on the football field, with the exception of my U12 flag teams at South Delta, with the South Delta Rams right now. But what it actually was coaching in a business sense and in a personal sense. And that's when I rediscovered my passion, and I became a certified coach 3 years ago. And I've been living that passion ever since.
So what's the biggest thing that you see as a coach? Let's go personal side things first. What is the biggest thing, or the biggest, because like I said before, when people really embark in a coaching journey, like you're the recipient, the athlete that's receiving the coaching, that first realization that you need help, right? That's the big thing, right? What is, if you were to categorize, what is the biggest demand that you see in your clientele that you've had so far? Is it, I'll just stay quiet. What is it?
Sure. Well, usually personal and professional, the issues are no different, with the exception of how the issues play out, whether it's with your family personally, or whether it's with people in the workplace. They're often no different. There's the same things come up over and over, no matter how high performing the person is. And just like you said, in the sports world, Michael Jordan, when he got to a certain point in his career, he didn't say, I don't need a coach anymore. He said, I need a coach more than ever. He did never won a championship till Phil Jackson came on the scene and coached that team to greatness, right? Just like in the world, some people ask me when they come on as a coaching client, how long do you think this will take? And I look at them and I'm like, it'll take forever, pretty much until the day you die. This is good. We're going to have this coaching relationship. And they look at me, they're like, it's going to take you that long? I'm going to find a new coach. I'm going to find someone to get for me quicker. Right. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that.
Good luck.
This is a lifelong process, right? But there's a few things that always come up. Number one is time mastery. And number two is, what else always comes up is mindset. So often when I have a coaching conversation with someone, they're like, oh, Tim, it was a bad 2 weeks since I met you last. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I achieved. And then they start telling me about what happened. I'm like, you just knocked off 5 great goals in the last 2 weeks. You're telling me how bad it was. Because in our mind, we tell ourselves things. And one of the greatest coaching questions I have, and I used it with someone yesterday, was they said, well, you know what, Tim, this will never work because this always happens and this always happens. And I said, okay, you know what? I don't know that to be true, but you might be right. So I'd just like you to find 3 instances and talk to 3 people where you prove yourself right and prove me wrong.
Yeah.
And the person looked at me and they're like, what? I go, yeah, just prove me, just show me so you can prove me wrong. And it was a limiting belief that they had, which was actually completely untrue. And everybody has that. Everybody has, we all have that little birdie in the back of our head saying, I don't know if you can do that. You're too this, you're too that. Your family wasn't like this. You don't live here. And I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, the cognitive bias that lives in the back of our brain. Where did I see that? There's a book or something that came out that, like, I'm gonna probably bullshit my way out of this, but something like 78,000 or 50,000 negative thoughts in a day. It's like astronomical number. Now we can confirm that, the team can research it, but what it actually is. So I was doing a operational performance, and I had a group of CFOs. And so company comes in and says, hey, listen, we've got CFOs across. It's just an association. Can you help with, setting operational goals and teaching people how to build a solid AOP, annual operating plan? So I got CFOs, and I asked the room, there was like about 40 people. And I said to them, I said, hey, who here has achieved their financial targets? And I'd say about 80+% of the people put their hand up. And I said, okay, keep your hand up if you feel that you've been successful. Boom. Like the entire room, at the exception of one man and one lady, I think it was, kept their hands up. And I was like, what is up with that? So you are bean counters, accountants. You should trust in numbers. And that's what operational excellence is about. It's about understanding and realizing the numbers so that they can draw a sense of success. So if you don't know the numbers, then get a hold of the numbers. So it's kind of like fear setting with Tim Ferriss, right? What are you afraid of? And defeat that fear. Knowledge dispels fear, right? Which is a great SAS saying from back in Britain. So with that being said, I agree with you 100% that mindset is a key to success. So let's put a break in this for those who are listening and watching. Like, take the time to realize, are you being positive? And positive doesn't, Tim, you can talk to this a little bit more, but being happy-go-lucky and being positive are two different things, right? Oh, the world's rosy. I step in a big hole, right? Where I'm saying, hey, if I die, I die, but at least I'll die a happy man because I've done everything that I can, right? That was good. What's the first one that you actually said? So you said mindset, and then the other one was time management, or
I'd call it time mastery. And I got that term from Nancy MacKay, the founder of MacKay CEO Forums, who I do a lot of work with. And that really had a light bulb went off in my mind when she talked about time mastery. And it really came down to, I have this coaching conversation with virtually every client that I have. And it comes back to one conversation I had with my coach way back when. He said to me, Tim, what's the most important thing in your life? And what's the second most important thing? And what's the third most important thing? So one thing we got to was we ended up talking about my family. He said, great. What's more important to you, your wife and your kids or your business? You could only have one. And I said, well, certainly it would be my wife and kids. He said, great. As far as you're struggling with your time mastery, just show me in your calendar where you have set aside time for your wife and kids. And I said, I don't do that. And he said, okay, what do you do? And I said, well, I put all my business meetings into my calendar. I have that all set up. And then whatever's left over, I go out with my wife. I give time to my kids. And he said, how does that make any sense? But when we talk to each other, when I talk to clients, virtually everybody does it that way. We don't think about that. So when I changed my mindset to prioritize my life and put those in there first, we have to work a certain number of hours every week and we have to do what we need to do. But, are we making sure that we hold that time for our kids, whether it's in the evening, whether it's taking them to school in the morning, whatever that is? Are we making sure that we actually put that into our calendar with, a date night with my spouse, right? Because I don't know about you, but when I don't put in my calendar, what happens? I end up taking another meeting. I end up doing this. I end up doing that. And then my wife comes to me and says, hey, I haven't seen you in 3 or 4 months. And that's the whole thing. So people struggle so much with time mastery. And what's so valuable about the coaching process is asking those questions to say, what's valuable to you? Mm-hmm. How are you going to value your time? And how are you going to master it better because everybody has the same amount of time every day. And virtually every leader struggles with mastering their time. So that's the second value of the coaching process.
Yeah, I agree. My entire calendar is color coded, right? Because I've learned from the same school. I've been applying this for a long time now, and date night is it's 4 o'clock on Friday before COVID. It's Friday and kids can watch TV. We order pizza, gives them the space that they need to be by themselves, right? And which is really good. But everything else, like I wake up at 4:45 and that time is set and that's blue and my health breaks in the day. A lot of people don't understand. Like for me, it was Warren Buffett, and a long time ago, where he pulled out a little notebook, a little black notebook in his pocket. I think his jacket pocket. And he says, "I just write two things because every man." And Bill Gates was sitting on the same panel, and he says, every man and woman and child, everybody has got 24 hours. That's the great leveler. Time is a great leveler. What you do with your time is critical, and how do you prioritize, right? Little tips and tricks. So I think that is key, and to planning contingency. Some people put their calendars too tight, because I believe that just like meditation was a big thing for me, because I would schedule it and I could not stay focused for that amount of time, right? And then I get pissed off with myself and saying, hey, damn it, I can't. And then I would get upset about looking to improve myself because I'm performance based, to say I'm not getting the meditation down, then I would squeeze it out a little bit longer anyway. So time mastery, I'm with you. Next question that I have for you, Tim, I think that one is a key component. When is the realization of your clients? They say, at first I was like, yeah, I get it. I need help. I kind of believe in you. I'm going to trust you. I'll do this a little bit. What's the biggest aha moment or kind of leveler of most of your clients?
The aha moment really comes in once they buy into that and they start setting those goals, because we're asking simple questions, right? But we often don't ask these of ourselves, right? It often starts with our email, right? What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Most people pick up their phone, check their email, or go onto social media. And when we do that, we're letting others set the priorities for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
When we set the priorities for ourselves and we wake up in the morning and we have a morning routine, whatever that looks like, meditation, reading, something to set your day. A lot of people have, their personal values and their personal purpose. And every day they'll read that off and say, today, this is my purpose and this is what I'm meant to be. When we set that for ourselves, it puts us into a mindset. So when I work with my clients, what's funny? 99% of personal people don't have a personal values or mission statement.
Wow.
But businesses, almost every business has a mission statement, right?
Yeah.
Like the vast majority of them, right?
But we're going to build the best cushion in the world. We're going to build the best chair in the world. Yeah, I'm with you.
But as humans, we don't. So the aha moment really comes to that. And they're like, okay, what is my mission? And when we start asking the questions to come up with their mission, then it crystallizes what's important in their life and what their future objectives, their future rocks should be, and how they're going to live their life through that. And then all of a sudden their calendar becomes, I don't want to say it ever becomes easy, but they start realizing, okay, this is how I need to live. There's a great quote that says, begin with the end in mind. I think it was Stephen Covey that said that, right? So there's a great session that I've done in coaching, and I learned it from a good friend of mine named Jonathan Dunn. He's in Florida. He has the Dream Leadership Institute. It's called the Awakening Drill. And one of the questions in there is, can you please write for me your mission statement that's going to go on your tombstone? You only got about 12 words to go on your tombstone. There's not much room. What are you going to put? And secondly, I'd like you to write your eulogy. What are the 10 points someone is going to read out at your funeral? And when you read those 10 points, now let's figure out how we're going to live those 10 points to get to that place where that person is actually going to state those about your funeral. When that aha moment happens, because as human beings, we get so caught up in going to work and coming home and doing this and doing that, and we forget, like, is this actually going towards my eulogy? I had an opportunity in business a few years ago, and I said to my coach, I'm like, you know what, this is a great opportunity. It's probably going to be good financially for me, but there's something, I don't know if it fits with my passion. And my coach said to me, he said, Tim, okay, just show me where in your values and in your purpose this fits for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at it and it didn't fit at all. And he said, great, either change your values and purpose or don't do it.
Yeah.
But I was so stupid. I was like thinking about ready to do it. And there was nothing wrong with what I was going to do. It wasn't a bad thing. But it didn't fit with how I was writing my eulogy. And once that aha moment happens, we start living our purpose. And it doesn't necessarily mean we need to change jobs. Yeah. We can live our purpose differently in jobs. At Jack's, we sell beer, wine, and spirits. But really, with our people, my passion is supporting their dreams. How are they going to achieve their dream? Our employees of buying a house. How are they? I'm going to support them to their dream of, many of them in school, to become, to get their degree, to become a teacher, to become an accountant or a lawyer or whatever their goal is, right? And that's what it's all about.
There are two things that I need to emphasize of what Tim said, okay? So that's servant leadership, right? Because that's the type, that's your business. And it's also a mindset of leaders. People underestimate the power of morale. When you create, and some people call it company culture, I very specifically call it morale. Morale is somebody's desire and feeling to achieve a task beyond all means. They'll face adversity, they'll be positive. So when you create a safe environment for the people that work for you, I don't care what you do, sell wine, build patio decks, make rocks, I don't give a shit what you do. If you create a sense of safety for your employees, and just like you said, Tim, help them achieve their dreams of, potentially leaving the company and becoming something better, right? For them, maybe they say, I want to be in sales, but right now I'm just a sales clerk. Well, they think that they're just a sales clerk. And you're saying, no, Tim, you're saying, yeah, no, you're a human being, and I'm going to help you through this employment to achieve your dreams. I think that is a just cause that people forget that to create doesn't mean that you have to treat everybody with kitty gloves, and if somebody's disrespectful, that you should keep them and far from it. But create a sense of safety. I think that Simon Sinek in his book, all three of his books, they say that continuously. So that if you haven't read Simon Sinek, start with Why Eaters Eat Last, and the last one is sorry, Simon.
This is marketing, right?
The infinite game. Infinite game. Yeah.
So it was really funny about what you said is I was working with what I consider one of the greatest leaders I know in the business world. And this person came to me with an issue one day. He said, Tim, we've got some great leaders and great people who are going to be amazing, kind of in that middle management level. But we don't have anywhere for them to go. And I'm struggling how to support them to grow. And I said, well, have you talked to them about growing out of the company and growing somewhere else? And it's funny. This person, it was like an epiphany, right? Like, I said, what? And I said, well, I don't know about your organization, but normally there's only one CEO and there's only a few vice presidents, and then there's a few more. So, a great majority of the people are going to have to leave to grow. Isn't that your job as the leader, is to support them to become the best version of themselves in whatever that is that they're going to be? If they're not going to be the next CEO because they're not cut out for it, or because there's not enough room, or whatever the reason is, it's your job as the leader. That's our jobs as leader, to help them achieve that dream. That's why I love I love dream management at Jack's. I'll tell you a really quick story about dream management. There was an employee we have, and I'll call her Rhonda. And so I was doing a dream session with her. We do dream sessions with all our employees. I sat down, I said, Rhonda, if you knew you couldn't fail, what's the greatest dream that you would achieve? And do you know what she said? She said, Tim, I've never thought I'd ever be able to buy a new car. And, many people have bought new cars. And I said, really? And Rhonda said to me, Tim, I just never thought I could ever do it. And I said, well, why don't you do it? And she said, well, I don't know if I don't know if I qualify or I get the loan and I said, here's the deal. I just want you to be accountable to me for a couple things. Number one, go to a car dealership and ask them, do I qualify for a new car? Mm-hmm. And because I knew her income, I knew she would, right? I knew she had, that wasn't a problem. So guess what happened? This person who never had this mental block in their head they could ever afford a new car runs into the office 2 weeks later and says, Tim, you got to come to the parking lot with me. And I'm like, Rhonda, I'm in the middle of something. Like, Tim, follow me to the parking lot. She's like clicking her keys furiously as we walk in the parking lot as she hops into this beautiful new Mazda 3. And she said, Tim, I never would have thought that I would ever have a new car. And do you know what it was? I'm no rocket scientist. I just said, Rhonda, if you can't afford a new car, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I think you probably can. So she had to go out because she was being held accountable. I was going to ask her, did you go out to prove me wrong that you actually can't afford that new car? And she drives in with it 2 weeks later.
Oh my goodness. It has happened to me in my life. I was working for Shell in Shell Canada in Calgary. And that's when I started my international career, because my VP, Tim, said the exact same thing. He said, hey, Martin, there's lots of stuff going on between Shell Canada and Shell in the Netherlands. And I see that your potential will not be fulfilled here. And he's the one that pointed me outside of Shell to go work for Valley in the mining industry, because I was doing so well with oil sands and stuff. And without that again, just that great leadership of, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you what's best for you, not best for the company. Well, ultimately best for the company as well, because if you've got somebody who's dragging their feet, their morale, their enthusiasm. What I wanted to bring it back to is your eulogy, and I'm very big in stoicism. And so courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. And one of the big exercises that I do pretty much every morning is memento mori, which is remember death. And so it's a Bushido kind of way as well. So Bushido in Japanese is the same thing. Right? Today might be your last day. So live it to the best of your abilities. And I think that, and I was writing it, this is pre-COVID, I was writing it in my notes, and this guy was saying, well, do you think about death all the time? And it was not the appropriate time, because it was in a plane as I was writing my notes. So I was like, yeah, but not right now. Well, hopefully not right now, but what am I doing today? And one of the key moments that happened to me is, as I was running my business, I was a jockey for, a plane jockey. I would leave for like sometimes 6 weeks, 8 weeks at a time. And sometimes Monday to Friday. The first thing I would do is I'd come home and I would go into my office to close all my notes, my emails, right? And then the kids would come home. And so my wife, my intention was to get the work out of the way so that I had a clear mind to spend time with family, right? Because that was important to me. But I wasn't realizing I was being judged on my actions, not my intentions. And my wife's like, you're gone all week from Monday to Friday, and the first thing that you do is you go to your office. And I think that, Tim, what you said, and when you do your dream session, is about having these expectations, the conversation up front. And I think that is a critical component in what you've mentioned in that, what's it called? Dream session, you said?
Yeah, we call them dream sessions. And you know what? We started this a number of years ago. And you know what people said to me when we first started? They're like, Tim, this is stupid. Nobody's ever going to share with you. It's not the first time anyone said my idea is stupid, by the way, but we won't get into that. But they said, Tim, no one's going to share their personal dreams with you. And I said, I'll bet you they will. Do you know how many people, in the hundreds of people in the number of years I've gone through a company, do you know how many people haven't shared their dreams? I think one or two said out of hundreds, right? And I said, you know what? I don't actually believe that, because if somebody comes up to me and says, I'm willing to support you in your personal and professional dreams, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice, because I want to achieve my dreams. What's the worst thing? I always ask, what's the worst thing that can happen? I tell somebody my dreams and I look kind of silly. Maybe that's the worst thing. That's not so bad to me, as opposed to I'm going to buy a new car. Same thing happened, just a little while ago with someone that worked with us at Jack's. Someone comes up, they said, yeah, Tim, it's my dream to buy a house or to buy an apartment. And I said, great. What are you doing for that? They said, nothing. I said, well, I don't know. The one thing I know that you need to buy an apartment is to check with a mortgage broker and to get a realtor. And they said, oh, really? I'm like, well, yeah, that's what you're going to need to do. So I said, all I'm asking you to do is between now and when I see you next week, call a mortgage broker and call a realtor. If you don't know one, I'm going to send you two that I know. So guess what happened? Call a mortgage broker, call a realtor. They go through the process. They're like, oh, wow, we were approved for a lot more than I thought. They're in an apartment within like 3 months. Somebody who thought it would take them years to buy an apartment, right? And it's just the mindset of asking them those questions, of supporting their dreams. And guess how loyal those people are? Because they know that I intimately care about supporting their dreams. Guess what they're going to do for the business?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be pretty magical, right? And so when we have the person beside us that actually cares and, dare I say, loves us, because, and I use the word love in the workplace. And you know what's weird about Jack's now? I tell people I love them all the time, and they don't think it's weird. They don't actually call HR. First time you say you love somebody, they're like, HR, hey, this guy's crazy. And yes, I'm crazy, but they don't call HR. And that's because, in the English language, there's only one word for love. In the Greek language, there's multiple, right? C.S. Lewis wrote the book, there's the four loves, right? And there's all different types of love, but there's other types of love, like agape love, that is actually a filial love, that is love between brother and sister.
Yeah.
And if I worked with you and I said to you, hey, Martin, I love you like a brother and I will support you, because if you're my brother, I'm not going to just hold you back and keep you in the company because it's better for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what's best for you. But then in turn, I'm going to expect you to do what's best for me too. And when we love each other in that way in the workplace, and when we untaboo the word love, imagine what can happen in our cultures, and imagine the success we can gain personally and as a business.
A real life story about an involvement with a company that I've had is with working with them. We've helped a person through their transgender journey. And so through exactly kind of performance management and one-on-ones, and we didn't call them dream session, but really, how can I help you? We call them servant leadership. And so how can I help you? And that young man, who is now a young woman, brought that up at work, because that person, she felt very safe and secure with us. So that servant leadership is not just the name of a company. Tim, I think you're doing a great job at spreading the gospel of, I advocate strongly of a leader has two jobs: facilitate and elevate. And those are two things that the leader does. If I can facilitate you, remove barriers, and remove the roadblocks, provide you with the tools that you need to get your job done, and then elevate you as a worker and as a human being, you contribute. And that is actually part of my mission statement. So I'm with you 100%. And Tim, now tell us, in your continuous improvement journey, because I'm sure that you are continuously improving, what are you as an individual? Because coaches, I'm sure, have issues as well. What do you, I don't want to say necessarily struggle, what are you looking at improving? And I'll say it in two phases. For me, I tend to eat my emotions. When I'm stressed, I tend to go for not so healthy food when I should be going for healthy food. That's one of the things. And no matter how much I know I shouldn't, I tend to. So that's something that I really struggle with, And then reading is a key component that my dyslexia doesn't help, that I really focus hard on improving continuously. What are those kind of things that has been really a thorn in your side and something that you go, I wish I was better at this?
So the one thing right now, which I just made a big commitment to, is silence. And you know
Oh,
what's so weird about that is when we think about that, and one thing I struggle with is, we talked about time mastery. So I pack that calendar. I'm ready to go, right? I coach people in other parts of the world, other parts of the country. So often I'm coaching at 5 a.m, right?
mhm.
And so, but I don't take that time as much as I should to have that silence. So one of my current goals is to get to a point where I have in my day 30 minutes of silence. And that can be some prayer, some meditation, some reading, or it can just be sitting in silence for a little bit of time. Because you know what? When we sit in silence and are calm, that's not actually where our ideas come from, our
Mhm.
creativity, right? Those days when I don't do that and I jump right in to my first coaching call, and all of a sudden I get to the end of the day, it's like I'm getting to dinner with the family, and I did a whole bunch of stuff, but I didn't actually grow because I didn't take that silent time to be in retrospective, to be self-aware. And that's a struggle for me because I don't know if you can tell, but I would say I'm kind of high energy and like ready to go and want to pack my schedule and impact as many people as I can. So I certainly have not achieved that yet, but that's the number one thing I'm doing right now. And number two is I talked about how I start my coaching often early in the morning. I coach people in the East or other time zones, and you know what? Something that I struggle with, when I'm getting up in the 4 o'clock hour, sometimes even earlier, is there's a couple times I'd hit that snooze button, and my
Mm.
goal in life is to never hit the snooze button again. You probably saw the TED talk by the Navy SEAL that said, if you want to do one great thing in your life, make your bed. Did you see that? It's like,
No, but I make
oh,
my bed. I spent 10 years in the army. I still
so
make my
yeah,
bed.
yeah. So but for me, that was don't hit snooze. It's not going to help you any if you lie there and half groggy. Get up, get going, and guess where you're going to find that 30 minutes of silence? Well, don't hit snooze for 10 minutes, and you already got 10. So it's funny how some of those things that we can be more self-aware of is how we can grow. And I'll never stop growing. If I actually, when I get to that place of 30 minutes of silence, I'm going to find something else that I probably am not even self-aware of yet
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
I'll become better at.
No, no, I'm good with silence. That's the one thing that I don't mind. Living in Japan, that's the one thing that I learned is that when you do have to wait in line, be thankful because it gives you the opportunity to slow down. Tell us about a piece of resource then and now. And what I mean is that what piece of information, coaching, resource, book, video, YouTube, anything that back in the day has been your go-to? You said you've gone to this numerous times. And then the second part of the question is, what's your new kind of resource that you go, hey, this is some cool stuff. I'm going to stick to that. So,
So there's two time tested and true leadership books that I go to often. If anyone says to me, Tim, if I can only read one or maybe two leadership books, what would it be? And there's one that not many people know about, and it's called The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. And you've heard me talk about dreams a lot today.
mhm.
And Martin, you and I we're both children of the 70s. So when I bought that book when I first started as a manager in a company, I bought it because I wanted to be a dreamy manager. And millennials, kids these days probably don't know what the word dreamy means, right? But you remember in the 70s, things
Oh,
were
yeah,
dreamy, right? And so I bought that for that purpose. But what I didn't realize was it was actually it actually stated that if you want to be a great leader, a great manager in your organization or anywhere, it's your job to support and grow the dreams of the people around you. And we forget that so often. I've never been in a company where they asked me about my dreams, right?
yeah.
They asked me a goal set, what I'm going to do for the company, but they rarely ask about me.
Mhm.
And that was a life-changing leadership book for me, The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. The second one, most people know Ken Blanchard's The 1 Minute Manager.
Yeah.
It's simple, straightforward, and gets to the point. So if I could ever do two, it would be those. One, if I were to throw a couple others in there, Ken Blanchard wrote another one called Raving Fans, right?
Mhm.
And we called this session, your session and mine today, about what's your purpose, and I'll bet you it's the same as every other business in the world. And that's really what the book Raving Fans is about. So when we talked earlier about when we bring it Jax, when we bring all of our people in, all our new people for what we call onboarding, I'll ask them, what's our goal? What's our goal in business? And you know what it is? It's to create raving fans. And nobody thinks about that. And I'll bet you that's the goal of the grocery store, the restaurant, the construction company, create raving fans. Because we all work really hard at marketing. But guess what the best form of marketing is? A raving fan who will scream from the mountaintops for no other reason that they just want you to have the satisfaction of doing business with that company. They don't get paid for it, but the experience is so amazing that you will do that.
Yeah.
And we forget that that's actually what the goal is. Often people think, well, in customer service, I should be nice to the people around me. I should be cordial. That's all great, but that doesn't set you apart.
Yeah.
But when we understand, we need to look for ways that'll set us apart. Shep Hyken's a great author on customer service experience. And he talks about find ways to set yourself apart on a daily basis. And if we look for little ways that we can set ourselves apart, we will continue to find both raving fans with our own staff, with the people we work with, and then our guests. They'll scream from the mountaintop saying, hey, only go to Jax if you want to buy beer or wine. Only deal with this person, if you want coaching. Only deal with this construction company, because they will give you the best experience. And that's what we're all after.
It is so true. I think people underestimate you don't have to be everything for everybody, right? And that as soon as you touch somebody, that you make an impact. And that is people focus on growth and oh, we're not hitting our numbers and we're not doing this. And I was like, the importance is that for every customer that you acquire, and I'll say acquire for lack of influence into purchasing your product or services, like you said, they have to be so convinced that that is what this product should be because of how you make them feel. And it can be through the quality of your product. It could be through your customer service. It could be through the sales cycle. It could be through the blog or information that you share about, your product. If you put hiking boots, for example, what are you putting out there that's hiking boot related? Are you sharing that? Are you creating a relationship? People forget the consumers always want to build a relationship with a company. So give what the consumer wants. They want a relationship. So build that out. No, that's we didn't even touch and we're like 50 minutes in, and we didn't even touch some of the two lighter subjects or two other subjects that I wanted to touch about. So Tim, give us a kind of 1 minute. I shouldn't say 1 minute. What is the biggest success story that when you talk about it either brings tears to your eyes or you're proud of? Like, what is the one, and it has to be business related, through servant leadership? What has been your pièce de résistance in what you've offered?
It has to be passion, right? There's a certain point in our career, or many people's careers, where they get to that point, and they kind of get to that pinnacle where they expect to get. They achieve that position or that title, and often that's only midlife. Maybe it's someone even in their 30s or 40s or 50s, and they got a lot left to give. And really, the aha moment, that amazing moment, is when we support that person to develop their personal purpose. And they realize that even though they might have hit that position, and maybe they're not looking to go to the next position or anywhere else, but they're still so much more to give. There's one person in particular that I work with that achieved that. And there was a period of time for months, this person said, I don't know what to do. You know, I'm financially, I'm doing well, but I have so much more life to live. And just the other day, this person said, I'm reinvigorated. I love what I'm doing because I realized what my purpose was. And I initially thought it was to hit this amount, making this amount of money. I initially thought it was to hit this role. Now I realize it's to influence this many people.
Oh, wow. Full circle. This is absolutely wonderful. We couldn't end on a better note. Tim, how do people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me. Easy way is find me on LinkedIn, Tim Dumas, Dumas. You can contact me through my website, servusleadership.com. Service is spelled Servus. It is the Latin word for servant. Servant leadership is you. And I said, you know what? Or do the old-fashioned thing, pick up the phone and call me. I have someone that I've done some work with. His name's John DeJulius, and he's a customer service expert in Cleveland. And he said, you know what? He said, I just give my phone number out to anyone. And you know what? People don't really abuse it. And so I give my phone number out to anyone. People ask me, they're like, hey, Tim, can I connect you with this person? I said, you know what? You never need to ask me because I can learn from every person. And I learned it from this story. It was 7 years ago. I started really getting, this is when I started this path to where I am today. I started networking, meeting people. And I made the horrible mistake of turning down a connection. There was this person connected me to someone. I said, what can this person do? Like, why would I connect with someone who does this job? It's useless for me. Do you know what I found? I ended up connecting with this person later. I found this person was one of the greatest connectors, one of the greatest people I ever met. And what I know is there is not a person I've ever met who hasn't added value to me. And hopefully they could say the same thing in return as well. So call me, text me at 778-998-5817. So that is an easy way to get a hold of me as well. I'll never turn down a connection because I'll always be able to gain value, and hopefully I can add some value to you.
Well, with that said, Tim, thank you very much for being on the show. It's amazing. There's definitely going to be a part 2 to this because there's another key component that that we're going to leave at. I think that we really covered the question of, what is the purpose of your company? Because, creating that servant leadership, creating a circle of safety, that's kind of, and creating a raving fan, that's kind of the outcome. So thank you for being on the show, Tim.
It's such a pleasure, Martin. It was a great discussion, and maybe we'll leave this as one little anecdote. I was dealing with someone who was looking to sell their company, and it would have been a reasonably lucrative payout. And I was so excited and proud because you know what this person said? They're like, I could sell the company, and the payout would be lucrative, but what would that do to my people, and how could I influence people from then? And not to say it's not wrong to sell your company. In there's the right time to sell your company. But this person was actually thinking, what will I do next and how will I influence people until the day that I die?
Wow. With that said, my name is Martin Hunter. I am the host of What CEOs Talk About, where we translate strategy into frontline operations. And guess what? I forgot it again. Please like, subscribe, and whatever the marketing team tells me to say. With that said, folks, thank you very much for watching and listening. What CEOs Talk About. We'll catch you at the next episode. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to What CEOs Talk About. Make sure to click subscribe to get notified about future episodes, or check us out at www.whatceostalkabout.com.